pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We have a purpose in life. We have a conviction. And if you want to see a man who really had a conviction, it was as the Shaykh rahmatullah alayh, he mentions through his study days, and really this is a lesson not only for those who are studying dini knowledge, but those who are studying secular education as well. He mentions that he was in the madrasa and his shoes got stolen. And he mentions for 6 months he didn't need to buy another pair of shoes, because for 6 months he didn't leave the madrasa. He said, the only place I needed to go was to the toilet where I needed shoes, and there were slippers already there. For 6 months. And all this emanated from the tarbiyah of his father, Maulana Yahya rahmatullah alayh, because he was concerned in teaching his child adab. He was concerned about teaching him true ilm. He was so concerned about adab, and really we today live in a society where there is a great lack of adab. There is no adab for your parents, for your teachers, for your elders, for the Quran, and for anything, because we have adopted secular principles even for our religion. And Maulana Yahya rahmatullah alayh was so concerned about the adab which he taught as a Shaykh rahmatullah alayh, that he would not allow him to study the hadith books besides by him and Maulana Khalil Ahmad rahmatullah alayh. And he would say, because I'm concerned that if you show a lack of respect, a lack of adab to your teachers, you will be deprived of the words of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam. This is how much respect that he inculcated in his child, because he taught him true knowledge, real knowledge. You know, it's very interesting that in the Arabic language, the word for reality and the opposite of reality is delusion. And that's why they say get real, because if you're not real, you're deluded. The word in the Arabic language for reality is al-haqiqa, and the word al-haqiqa emanates from the word al-haq. And Allah, one of the attributes of Allah is al-haq, and what emanates from Allah is the Quran. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, al-Quran, you can read it ma'duba and ma'daba. If you read al-Quran or ma'dabatallahi fil ard, that the Quran is the center of all adab in this world. It is the fountain of all adab. And in another narration, the Prophet ﷺ said, the best thing that you can teach your children is good adab. Therefore, if the Quran is the center of all adab, and the best thing that you can teach your children is good adab, then the best thing that you can teach your children is what? The Quran. And if you teach your children the Quran, then you will naturally become the best. Why? Because the Prophet ﷺ said, خَيْرُكُمْ مَنْ تَعَلَّمَ الْقُرْآنَ وَعَلَّمَ. The best of you is he who learns the Quran and he disseminates it. He teaches it to other people. And this was the tarbiyah that as a Shaykh rahmatullah alayhi received from his father. Really, you will see every facet of the life of as a Shaykh whilst he was a child. His father viewed it, he revised it, and he did Islah and Tarbiyah. Every facet of his life. He ensured that the people that he spoke to were people of caliber. That he didn't hang around with people who may rape him of his innocence, who may rape him of his piety. He didn't let his child stand on street corners. Why? Because he was concerned about his Tarbiyah. When it came to giving money to the Shaykh rahmatullah alayh, he would never give money to his son. Why? Because he did not want him to be attached to the dunya. And whenever he did ever give him money, he would speak to the mother and he would tell his mother, he said, I've given him some money, now tell him, give him the virtues and the fadail of spending in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And really you can understand how refined this tarbiyah was from this example. As the Shaykh rahmatullah alayh mentions, that my uncle Maulana Ilyas rahmatullah alayh would play long nafil from Maghrib to Isha. And this was during my study days. And I wanted to start playing long nafil. And he said, I was playing these long nafil, and my father came behind me and he chastised me. And he said, you can't learn your sabak, you can't learn your lesson, and you want to play long nafil? And as the Shaykh rahmatullah alayhi mentioned that when he did this, it went through my mind, he doesn't play nothing and doesn't want me to play nothing either. But then he said, I reflected upon this and I understood the reason my father had done this. Because he understood, and this was refined tarbiyah, he understood that this was a ploy of shaitan, removing me from my studies and engaging me in salah, in nawafil. He understood this. Why? Because this was refined tarbiyah. And really, you look at the life of the Shaykh rahmatullah alayhi whilst he was a child. Mawlana Yahya rahmatullah alayhi would remain with him all the time because he was concerned about the islah of his child. Mawlana Abdul Qadir, Mawlana Abdul Rahim Raipuri rahmatullah alayhi, many times he wrote a letter to Mawlana Yahya rahmatullah alayhi to come to his company. And Mawlana Yahya rahmatullah alayhi couldn't go to his company. And then finally he wrote a letter back. And as the Shaykh says that he dictated this letter to me. And he said that the tarbiyah of my son has been like a chain around my neck. And it hasn't allowed me to go anywhere. It hasn't allowed me to go anywhere. It's been like a chain around my neck. He said, but now, this was a year and a half before he passed away. He said, now I feel secure that his tarbiyah has been fulfilled, his tarbiyah has been done. And you compare that, really you compare that today with the tarbiyah of our children. There are many people whose children spend more time with the TV set than they spend with their parents. There are many people whose children's tarbiyah is done by their TV sets than more than even their parents. Wherever the mother can't look after the child, plunk him in front of the TV set. He'll vegetate there for hours. And really what you are doing, you're raping that child of its innocence. Imam Shaykhul rahimahullah mentions, he defines the yatim. He says, إِنَّ الْيَتِيمُ هُوَ الَّذِي تَرَى لَهُ أُمًّا تَخَلَّتْ أَوْ أَبًا مَشْغُولٌ. He says, yatim is not necessarily that person whose father has passed away. He says, a yatim is that person whose mother has forsaken her duty to her child. And the father is too busy. And this is why we have the problem that we have today, because societies are created by individuals. And if that individual tarbiyah is not done, then he will make up that society. And you will have a dysfunctional, defunct society like we have today. You know, it was one of the claims of Mawlana Yahya rahmatullah alayhi, an amazing claim. He would say that I can make an alim within 72 hours. Not all at once, but if a person came to me 2 hours a week, within 72 hours, I will make him an alim. And he fulfilled this. And this was his miracle. But really a greater miracle than this was the fact that Mawlana Yahya rahmatullah alayhi laid the foundations through his tarbiyah of creating the wali of his time. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us people who realize the value of Islam. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the tawfiq to do the tarbiyah of our children. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keep us united in this dunya, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reunite us in Jannatul Firdaus. Inshallah, after me there will be some other very prominent speakers. It is requested that everybody listen attentively.